host and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on our live shows. Welcome to This Week in Guns. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network and Patriot Patch Company.
Welcome to This Week in Guns. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, Patriot Patch Company, and Second Call Defense. The show offers the latest commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Chick Challen, and before you shop Amazon, be sure you go to firearmsradio.tv/Amazon to support pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. We have a great panel this week. We have Josh Cass, returning from Four Guys Guns. He's a reclusive gun personality, marketing consultant, photographer, videographer, and director of something I'm not going to say on air. Hey, Josh. Oh, you're muted.
Yep. Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
And we have Eric Ebbinghaus, former purveyor of gun media, current online firearms retailer, and trigger tweaker at House of Arms, pioneering the single shot revolution one round at a time. Hey, Ebbs.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you, Jake.
It's great to have you back on. Long time.
You look fantastic.
Thanks. I try. And we have Matt DeVito, former Insta famous gun bunny, current local coronavirus aficionado, and mediocre bear hunter. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Jake. Thanks for having me.
So are we all stocked up on our N95 face masks, or are you guys taking it one level higher and going the whole gas mask route?
I didn't buy any gas masks. I just bought extra ammo to take them off the people that don't have guns.
There's a lot to choose from.
We like shooting. Told me I just need to drink more.
Probably the alcohol in your blood would kill off any contaminants that you'd have to worry about.
This is science.
Yeah, that's what they say. Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. Check out the Patch of the Month Club over at patriotpatch.co. Exclusive designs shipped to your mailbox once a month. Only available via the Patch of the Month Club at patriotpatch.co. We're going to start with some positive news this week. Couple's date night got interrupted by an armed robbery, except this couple, they're both in law enforcement. And so this guy comes in to rob the place, and he gets a little surprised. The two drew their weapons and proceeded to engage a robber. The bad guy decided he had better things to do than get shot, and he took off. The officers gave chase, catching him in the backyard a couple blocks away.
So there's a video. I'm you had to get through the links to get to, but I think the police should probably be paid more based on this restaurant.
I especially
Raising
like
chains, chicken fingers.
I especially like the off-duty scenario of this. Just you have to wonder. I'm always curious in cases like this. Has the guy had a history of bad luck his whole life? Or had he played the lottery that day and then he was arrested, so he never could play the ticket? And just how, what form of lucky and unlucky is there in that scenario? And major applause to the off-duty police officers for having their firearms on them.
Yeah. I just want to say Cane's is one of my favorite chicken places, and if somebody tried to rob me as I was eating delicious Cane's chicken covered in even more delicious Cane's sauce, I'd shoot them too. So
I also want to point out that Officer McCowan is quite attractive. She can pull me over anytime.
Super predictable of you. And I'm with Matt. I would be curious to know what your order is. Are you full? Do you love cane so much? Are you full Caniac box? Or are you just like the 4-piece? I would peg you for a 4-piece.
Talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh no, the whole box.
Okay. All right.
4-piece? No. That's child's play.
That's the kids' meal.
Yeah, the
Bring me
4-piece.
all the chicken.
The 4-piece is the appetizer of the box.
I agree.
And-
And the toast also.
The toast gets soggy. I'm not a fan of the toast.
No, it doesn't. You're taking too long to eat your chicken.
Maybe that's what it is.
Stay tuned for the after show for more chicken finger talk. And a positive news, we're going to Milwaukee, where there unfortunately was a mass shooting at the Coors Milwaukee Brewery.
More Molson Coors, Jake. Molson Coors.
There we go. So there were 5 victims, all were employees, and turns out it was a disgruntled employee who had been fired earlier that day, 51-year-old employee who died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. But interesting enough, the news say he used at least one suppressor. And then there's a companion article I didn't drop in here in time, but they're also saying that his neighbors are saying that he would build guns that he would order parts in the mail for, ghost guns. So we'll have to see if what kind of legislation they try to push through, try to go after silencers this time, or try to go after ghost guns more.
They won't. I want to make a bold statement and say they won't, simply because it is an election year. They've already proven in multiple states that is a beyond controversial at this point, and nobody wants to really tip the scales too far in that manner. I'd be curious to see what happens after November.
Well, and doesn't this I mean, it's tragic, but it doesn't, I don't feel like it necessarily supports the narrative of what people are afraid of suppressors for. It's not that super sneaky, like movie set type thing. Like you walk in and just start blasting. It's just uncommon to see a suppressor in that scenario. So it doesn't necessarily fit the gunslinger blaze of glory, which sounds super disrespectful. And I don't mean that way, but not trying to hide his presence if he's just marching right in.
There, the Firearm Blog article, said something like, obviously the last time something like this happened was in Virginia when the guy stormed that building with the suppressed 45. I don't know if he had 1 or 2 suppressed pistols, whatever it was. And apparently, I mean, I've been following the stuff in Virginia pretty closely, that was one of the reasons why, with all the recent legislature stuff they did, they tried to put in a suppressor ban because of that shooting. It was the Naval Yard or something like that, I think it was. I forget exactly where it was, but it was in Virginia, and the guy had a suppressor, and they were saying that, this could, again, make the case of, oh, this is why you shouldn't have suppressors, because you can shoot people quietly, nobody will know. But then he had 1 suppressed pistol, supposedly suppressed pistol, and 1 unsuppressed pistol. And it's kind of stupid to go quiet and then loud and then quiet again. But that's also, has there been a confirmed, was it confirmed as a suppressor yet? Or is it just something that looked like a suppressor?
I'm not seeing anything. It just says it was a suppressor.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to dig deeper and see, it could be, a faux barrel or whatever the hell you want to call it. It's
Shroud, yeah.
A shroud, yeah. The shoulder thing that goes up.
It's outstanding reference.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm curious to see if it's just more media speculation or if it actually was a suppressor.
It'd be weird. And I think even, and no disrespect to law enforcement, but they generally don't know because they're so busy doing their jobs. But I'd be curious to find out if, like you said, it was not just a suppressor, but maybe it was literally just like a comp.
Right. Yeah.
Like somebody put like a Black Rifle Coffee or whatever, or Black Rifle Company, whatever that is, like box on the front. They're just like, oh, that's clearly a suppressor.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's sad and it sucks, but at the end of the day, I mean, to me that says, if I had to speculate, if he's going in there with a can, he had specific people he wanted to off, and then he just offed himself. So that was a slighted employee. There's no, thank God, children involved. And I have the news playing in the background all day long. This didn't blip once. That's one of the reasons that makes me say this is going to be a non-factor when it comes to politics right now, because it's not even on their radar. All the key points are not there for national news and outcry. How jaded are we at this point?
Yeah, pretty jaded.
Yeah, pretty bad. And if how many every time this happened, how many times do you see on Twitter or Facebook shared like almost immediately something about a false flag, or like people legitimately died, which totally blows. But we're just so, if it's that, it's not working. And like for the guy that was so disenfranchised that he felt like this was his only option is an absolute shame too. And so for all the families involved, that just, it really, really sucks. But just kind of the location too. I mean, the time of year, like I get Midwest in February. You haven't seen the sun in 5 months.
So does Jake. Look at the outfit.
And I feel like Milwaukee somehow you never hear about in the national news. So just odd and out of left field, and the day after the DNC debate and all of that stuff, they're all things that make you scratch your head. But I mean, I would tend to agree with these guys that if it was an actual suppressor that was used, I just don't see those being. Joe Biden is going to say something to make himself sound dumber, if that's possible, as a result of the things that people around him are feeding him that pertain to information from this.
Horse face pony soldier.
All right. Moving on to the media sees Boogaloo jokes as serious calls for violence.
This is incredible.
And this is NBC, and I'm going to read part of their quote here is that circulated among some hate groups, the emergence of the term Boogaloo appeared to be a new and discrete movement. NCRI researchers who analyzed more than 100 million social media posts and comments found that through the use of memes, inside jokes commonly in the form of images, extremists have pushed anti-government and anti-law enforcement messages across social media platforms. They have organized online communities with tens of thousands of members, some of whom have assembled at real-world events. End of quote.
Well, it was nice knowing you guys, but
that's great response. I love this quote from the article too. In other words, the other side of the issue takes our memes seriously. I suppose they also think our initial reaction to a communist is to toss them from a helicopter, or that many of us adhere to the fanatical religion found in Warhammer 40K as well.
Can I just be the first to say?
Try to get me.
Can I be the first to say, just this entire article, good. Not to put my tinfoil hat on or anything, but listen, if this is what it takes, you can label it whatever you want. Call it hate speech, call it, just say out loud, we feel threatened because while we've been attacking all your gun rights and everything you believe in that involves our Bill of Rights, we're actually paying attention now. And we know that if you wanted to have a problem, we're going to have a problem. Good. Let the memes be a nice little happy, fun time morning flag. Because in reality, if there was a really big gun problem in this country, Big Igloo, Boogaloo, here's a couple AKs for you. There's what's that movie, Blown Away? You ever see that?
Great
Right.
reference. Yeah.
There's a line in there. A bomb has one purpose: to go off. Right? If you light that fuse, doesn't matter what you call it. If you light that fuse, there's no going back. Left leaning, right leaning, there will be none of that. And yes, we are willing to show. Look at Virginia. Look at what Idaho recently. There's another state, not Maryland. Who was it that also had a large show of force where they cleaned
Utah just had something too. Yeah,
where they cleaned up after themselves. If
Yeah.
this was any other cause that wasn't the Second Amendment, this would be praised as, national, everyone working together towards a common goal. But because it's guns, it's right leaning, it's extremist, it's what was the hate speech. And honestly, I can't wait.
I enjoyed your response, actually, and I'm surprised at it, but I think the word is great fun.
Many good time. Happy fun time. This sparks joy.
And you are all invited to Boogaloo. And you will know time when it arrives.
Oh my God, I'm gonna light so many fires.
Oh, look, C. Gillespie, 2002. Holy poop! It's Ebbs and Whitey. What's up, C. Gillespie?
Oh, it's easy long.
All right, universal background check and other gun bills passed Virginia Senate. I'll give her a quick rundown of these. A universal background check passed 23-17. A lost and stolen firearms bill was amended to extend time gun owners have to report lost or stolen firearms to police. Also, next bill removes the ability for online training for Virginia concealed carry classes. Next bill allows local governments to ban lawfully carried firearms in government-owned buildings, parks, and several other areas. So basically, Virginia is going to lose their preemption status in many ways. And then the last bill here would make it a Class 1 misdemeanor to recklessly allow a minor 14 years of age or younger to access a firearm.
access how?
Yeah, do they define that more clearly? I'm a little, so we're out here in Colorado still, so we're 7 years into some pretty similar stuff, magazine restrictions, universal background check, which, that language is, the universal thing is just completely arbitrary because we use CBI, which doesn't even completely tie into the NICS system, but it's whatever Colorado has decided is the best issue for us to use. But I don't know. I apologize for jumping in on this, but I'll just reiterate Matt's question. Do we know what type of access that it denies? It says to recklessly. It's a Class 1 misdemeanor to recklessly allow a minor 14 years or younger access to a firearm.
Yeah, but the question still stands. Who defines recklessly? Because some left-leaning liberal whack job thinks that you as an adult shouldn't have a gun, and if you want to teach your kids to shoot and firearm safety, then they probably view that as reckless. So
it looks like the original version was at 18, and then it was amended to lower it from 18 to 14.
That's probably up to a judge if you get called on it.
This is stupid.
I mean, so they're still legal, but we don't want you to have an opportunity to learn about safety at the right age or learn correctly.
Right.
Or
the issue is if just the word reckless is open to interpretation. I mean, you letting you let one of your kids that, Ebbs, your kids have grown up around guns, and they may consider reckless that, you let one of the girls shoot an animal, you let one of the girls shoot a deer or something like that. That's reckless because they're too young for that. So the question is, it's completely open-ended. So who determines what is reckless? The people that are making these asinine laws, or governing body, which you can't even really trust, depending upon who makes up the governing body. I mean, that's scary. Like it's an open-ended word like that is scary, because reckless can be, I mean, I consider reckless if you're letting a kid run around, finger on the trigger, muzzling everybody while he's half a pack of White Claws deep. I mean,
There's no law with the claw.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God.
So I mean, that's the thing is like, whose definition of reckless are we using?
Well, I think it's
So-
very intentional. A lot of these anti-gun laws are written in very, in a way where it's very hard to interpret what it is. So that they purposely do that so it encompasses as much as they can.
I'm gonna have like a Nate Murr moment. So, Matt, you lived in Mass, right?
Yep.
And in certain parts, if not all of Mass, there's a limitation to the length of a blade you can have on your person.
Yep.
Right. However, no one is getting pulled out of their cars, stopped on the side of the street, and anyone having their blade length inspected. So a basic, blade that doesn't cover the palm, et cetera, is completely legal, whether it is or is not in excess of 4.5 inches. Now, here's the deal with that law. And this is how a lot of this reads to me. No one is coming. There's no stop and frisk. There's none of that. However, if something happens and this is found on your person, if a warrant is served to your house and there happens to be a 12-year-old and there is a loaded rifle somewhere in that house, not in a safe, it's one more line item where we can really just kind of hammer one thing after another, and a maybe 1 year prison sentence or misdemeanor suddenly turns into this massive felony. And this is where you start. And I hate to go to this direction, but the whole profiting off of prisoners kind of cycle continues. And in states that are very left leaning, they need that grant money, they need that government funding, they need that private sponsorship for all that stuff to actually continue the cycle. So this is just stuff that's not going to stop anything. There is not a single person coming to your house to stop you from teaching your 10-year-old how to properly and safely handle a rifle. But should something go wrong and A plus B equals C, it's one more line item they can tack on you. So in the spirit of the Boogaloo, keep teaching your kids safety and proper handling. And
yes, outstanding use. A+, gold stars, all that crap.
Bloomberg to pay hundreds of people $2,500 a month to praise him on their social media feeds. Sounds like Bloomberg is taking a play out of Springfield's playbook.
I would literally do this and then take the money to spend on guns or gun-related stuff and then post about that
fact
after. So I'm going to be checking into this. It seems smart, honestly.
So I saw that all at the same time. So for those of you that don't know, I manage several social media accounts, and it was one after the next. F. Jerry, out of respect for Jake's beard, I will not say the full name. F. Jerry and a bunch of others that are very high-profile kind of meme accounts. They all were literally just screenshotting the conversation and posting that, and it was all on the same day. It was like watching, back when they used to get along all the time, Lantac and CMC triggers launch like this media campaign. You got like 35 posts of the same thing, like within 10 minutes of the same thing, and it's like Bloomberg makes me laugh because part of me hopes he goes toe-to-toe with Trump simply because this is America. I have proven I can buy you versus this is America functioning normally.
Wouldn't he go toe to chest?
He's a little guy. Dude, he got Bernie good on a couple of those. That was funny.
11-year-old girl brings AR-15 rifle to gun legislation hearing in Idaho.
I mean, sounds like Idaho's the place to be.
It does.
Right. So now here's the question: is that reckless? Like I said, Ebbs, how old were you when you shot your first deer? You were younger, right?
Yeah, youngish, 12.
Yeah. Somebody may say that's reckless. People in our circle say he's got a respect for firearms. He knows how to use them. He's got a respect for wildlife, and he's able to provide food for his family. So, like, kudos to that dad or mom, whoever took her, and said, hey, you know what? Like, I'm going to raise this kid right. I'm going to raise this kid around firearms. They're not going to be a snowflake. But again, who determines what is reckless and what isn't? Because I'm just thinking if that happened like in Massachusetts, the parents would probably have that child taken away
instantly.
Yeah, because
At the courthouse.
Right, because that's reckless.
And
That's
the kid will be arrested.
Which
right, you're right.
it's like worth noting too, the on the old it's still standing but not being added to the House of Guns YouTube channel. My most viewed video of all time is my oldest daughter, 7 years old at the time, learning to shoot an AR-15 on the range. What was the name of the was it New York Post guy that got PTSD? Remember that?
Oh my god, yeah.
When he went, he was like, I wanted to go and have an open mind and go to the range and shoot an AR-15. And as soon as the gas filled my nose and I was disoriented and I immediately got PTSD. And then Steven Crowder picked it up and then split screened it. And my oldest daughter just looks like an absolute champion, just handling it so smooth. And that video has
6.7 million views.
Did you just look it up? Yeah, I was gonna say over 6 million views,
9,700 comments,
and like and even I mean, and that video was ripped, replicated, reposted. I mean, so and I chased them down for a while, but who knows? But like it's just the impression of like the impression of people's sensibilities is so offended by the thought of like if you go into do a deep dive in the comments, like I've like death threats and you're training up the next school shooter and this and that. And my now almost 14-year-old daughter is phenomenal and well adjusted and just completed hunter safety, I might add. And like I'm stoked about being able to take her hunting with me in Colorado this year, and she's drawing for her own tags, and I'm forcing her to do it and decide where she wants to go, and like this is not everybody thinks that these are the psychopaths that like these are the people who don't have the ability to discern reality from fiction and fantasy and the ones that walk in and create all this chaos, and I would put her up against anybody, any subject, and she would either say, I don't know, but I can find the answer, or she would go to toe to toe with them. And I would have done it with her as a 7-year-old too.
So it's funny, and I don't want to sidetrack this too much from the original story, but Ebbs was one of the first people I called because I didn't grow up shooting like he did. And when my son started coming of age, and you know, it's all around, you know, holsters, guns, knives, like this is what I do for a living. And I didn't know how to relate that to a child because I wasn't brought up that way. And it's funny to me now looking back how much differently just that little bit of education, because to Nathan it's like, yep, this is what it is, this is how it works, this is what it does, this is the end result of doing it wrong and what not to do. And he has kids in his own class that are like, oh my god, the cops came in with AK-47s. He's like, no, it's probably a cult. and they're like, what? He's like, nothing. My dad's a photographer. And you have to teach your 10-year-old to lie to people that your dad is in media and he's not, you know, into gun stuff, because you never know when they're going to come knocking. But it's weird because you see Ebbs and his daughter in this video, which I'm watching, by the way, and to watch them learn. Nathan, my son, doesn't know like the next school shooter. He doesn't have aspirations of evil. This is just another thing in the house that does a thing, and he's not supposed to touch it because, and he's seen what it does when it does go live, and he understands and respects it. And it's so weird to see that when you have people that don't have that little bit of education, like just look at this video and go, oh my God, you're training the next school shooter. It's like, well, no, that's like saying just by taking your kid to driving school, they're going to be, you know, the next Andretti or, you know, NASCAR champion. That's not how that works. There's got to be other parts to it. And it's just weird, a parenting thing that I got off on a tangent. So I apologize.
So real quick on the recklessly thing, one of the guys that I work with, hi Eric, he commented and said from the New Hampshire RSAs, recklessly is a person that acts recklessly with respect to material element of an offense when he is aware of and consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk that the material element exists or will result from his conduct. So again, you got a left-leaning judge, and they think that a unjustifiable risk is you teaching your 14-year-old child how to shoot. So
Yeah, slippery slope.
yeah, I mean, it goes on that it would be somebody that has a gross deviation from the conduct that a law-abiding citizen would observe in the situation. But again, maybe a law-abiding citizen doesn't own a gun because they don't want to go to the big luau, and only us right-wing extremists own guns. So it's tough because, I mean, again, it's all up to interpretation, and I guess it depends who you got on the other side of the bench. But
Yep. New Mexico governor signs red flag gun bill, tells sheriffs to enforce it or resign. She's a little bit upset that some of the rural sheriffs there in New Mexico are refusing to enforce an unconstitutional bill.
And she's going to continue to be disappointed too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've told my wife numerous times, like, how do you feel about New Mexico? Just feeling disgruntled about Colorado, and they have bigger elk than us anyway. And I'm like, I'd like to make a play down there. Could we, let's talk about land. It's not, I mean, bless their hearts, New Mexico just gets overlooked, and this woman is in for bad times,
unless
days.
they're into meth.
Oh, Breaking Bad reference.
So the first thing I looked up in that article is whether or not the sheriffs were appointed or elected, and the sheriff flat out said, "God, I lost so many words." Well, we don't work for the governor. We don't work for the legislature. He said, we work for the people that elected us into office. And honestly, I would continue to tell that governor to pound sand. She looks like a Karen.
You know what? She looks like an older Leah Speed.
Oh, God.
oh geez.
Do you see it?
You can't unsee it.
You see it though?
I do.
So that was an actual picture of her. I thought it was just a stock image of I want to speak to your manager, and somebody put the picture in the article
Because it's Karen.
Yeah.
We haven't heard a good pound sand in a while, by the way. So I'm just gonna applaud that.
But I mean, that's the reality of it. If you elect the sheriffs, especially in the counties and the states that have elected sheriffs that are there for the people, by the people, the number one thing is we can't enforce that. It flat out says we can't enforce that. A lot of people don't realize in this country, speaking of Boogaloo, that there is 965-ish thousand police officers in the country. 965,000 police officers in the country. How many people are in the United States of America alone? And then take all that into consideration and understand that they never were, and they don't want to be, war fighters on the United States front line. They're literally just peacekeepers. They're trying to make sure that murderers go away and you don't do stupid things, because there's not enough of them. There's not.
Speaking of stupid things, Joe Biden says 150 million people killed by guns since 2007.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing this up, Jake. And killer transition, by the way, which I ruined by speaking. But do we get excited when Uncle Joe talks, because it makes everyone on the other side look extremely intelligent?
1 in 2 people are now dead.
Since what year was it? 07?
The population of the United States is 327 million. So, I mean, that's half. Eddie Murphy, half.
I mean, more buffalo for me.
Hey, send me some bison burgers. That'd be great.
Bless his heart.
Every time I see him on the news, it's like he almost got lynched in South Carolina. They started an argument with him over border security and stuff like that at his rally. He almost walked out
But should we check on him though? I mean, nothing that he says
It's like
is credible or it makes any sense at all.
it's like that plant in the corner that you occasionally remember to water. It's like 9 yellow leaves and like one good green one. You're like almost there.
Oh, Jake, transition, please.
Trump has flipped the Ninth Circuit Court, and some new judges are causing a shockwave. So, as far as the Circuit Courts of Appeal goes, he's appointed 51 judges total to lifetime positions in just 3 years, which I don't know if that's a higher number than any other president over a 3-year span. I mean, I know Obama appointed hundreds during his 8 years.
I guarantee you there's a Google search for it.
I guarantee. However, we've seen a lot of anti-gun, anti-freedom, anti-everything coming out of the Ninth Circuit Court, like Rush Limbaugh calls it the Ninth Circus Court, because they're just nuts. But Trump has started to, it seems like, flip that court, which would be very interesting to see what happens in the next 10 years or so. If the Ninth Circuit starts ruling on the Constitution and not opinion.
So not for nothing, Ronald Reagan appointed 383 judges. I found a spreadsheet. Bill Clinton 378, Barack Obama 329, George W 327. It goes on and on. So I mean, this year alone this past 4 years alone, 51 circuit judges to Barack Obama's 55. So he is motoring along.
You literally just did more journalism than 90% of the people with blogging credentials in this country. Like, oh my God, 100. Can you believe 100? And look, everybody else before, like the last 4 presidents before, are in the 300s already.
I should do less work and get paid more, is what you're saying?
Accurate.
Doing this all wrong.
And we have, we have a classic panel returning this week to This Week in Guns. We have a classic
It's a Throwback Thursday.
throwback story here. George Zimmerman sues presidential candidates for defamation. He's suing Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg for 200.
Whoa, back up. Jake, back up. Who? For everyone watching, I'm just stealing hosting credentials here for a second. Pete.
What's his name again?
What's his name? How do we say that?
Is it Buttercake?
Buttercake. Waiting. Still waiting. Dead air, Jake.
Peter.
This is the only reason I came on air. Everybody who's listening, this is what I've been waiting for and what I missed. Jake, take it away.
Peter B.
There.
Mayor Pete? Buttercake?
Oh.
Anyways, $265 million, claiming the candidates defamed him and to garner votes for the black community.
I want to be upset about this, but bad people making bad people worse? Like, I don't understand.
Here's the deal. DNC is a clown show. Bernie is the favorite because he promises free things, and the DNC doesn't want Bernie. So
Buttercake.
DeVito. Oh, I hope everybody what was that? Hold that up again.
I was trying to put it in the chat, but I don't know how. So
Booty judge. Oh, we have some comments, YouTube and we have some YouTube and Facebook comments. Booty judge, Kenny, great. Booty fudge, Izzy. That's solid.
So I mean, George Zimmerman. I mean, here's a guy I think the gun community as a whole would just go away. He was caught on camera 3 or 4 times being a superhero.
Well, except for didn't Caltech have him down and give him a free gun and stuff?
well, I mean, when you get the only Keltec P11 that doesn't malfunction. Yeah.
No, Whitey. Don't deep sight Keltec. I didn't like that.
Why?
Because I like Keltec.
I'm pocket carrier P3AT.
So, I mean, Keltec has some of, and I'm going to be not even tongue in cheek on this. Keltec has some amazing engineering innovation. However, they are the worst public beta testers in the history of firearms. And that's saying a lot with Sig Sauer's reputation. So, and I speak from experience because the KSG, I think we got the one that didn't malfunction after 5,000 sold. And then they're like, well, it's fine. And they send it on its way. So, I mean, I love them. I love what they do. But they're a bunch of engineers that know how to play with polymer and not QC stuff.
Okay, fine. I'm okay with that.
In defense.
No, in consolation.
I don't know a single Keltec.
Hey, a comment on YouTube. Transphibian, probably not real name. If it is, I apologize. Can you guys
Transphibian's coming over.
Can you guys please come back every week? I don't know that life allows that now, but really appreciate the vote of confidence. And so does Matt's gun wall.
$64 million USMC squad common optic contract awarded to Trigicon.
Oh, nice. They went to VCOG.
Yeah, it went with VCOG.
Is it a 1-8?
Yeah, it's a 1-8.
So that is a solid optic.
That's a
I like
step
that
up.
optic.
That's a pretty big step up.
You know what's so funny is are any of you guys in like any of the clone groups?
I'm in the Mark 18 clone group.
Mark
That's
18
weird like that.
So there's a couple clone groups, and this got posted in them, and all of the cellar dwellers were all like, "Oh my god, that optic is so outdated. Why didn't they get something so much better?" It's like if you look through one, it's pretty dope. It's
tasty.
Yeah.
And it's
like,
rugged.
Yeah. Oh, they could have done this, and it's like, shut up. Now my gun's not going to be clone correct. Oh, no.
But they're looking at it all wrong, though. It's an opportunity to build another one from scratch. That's why you need to be excited about it.
Well, when you can only get the PSAs, you get the PSA clone lower.
The 10.5, it's not actually a 10.3. Actually, if you're clone correct for the period of 1994 to 2001.
It's a borderline Trump impression for the record.
Jake, you're going to want to take the reins soon.
Colt issues update on questions about the new Python revolver. Questions as in questions involving possible issues like screws backing out because they didn't use Loctite.
Imagine my surprise.
And light primer strikes, and they're blaming foreign ammo on the light primer strikes.
Likely excuse.
Does Colt have some amazing ammunition to go with their amazing revolver with backing out screws? No, can't afford to make that. No. Oh.
Well, I'm offended, especially Colt. Offended. I'm not necessarily offended, but we're to the I'm offended section where somebody here is offended. Airbnb puts $300,000 in teams with doctors to help ban guns in Canada.
F Airbnb. I know there's actually a couple of my Canadian friends that are watching this right now, and F Airbnb, F Trudeau, F all that nonsense.
What do you mean by F? I don't understand that lingo. Oh, you just killed Jake. You can't do any more transitions.
He's not sweating yet.
Oh,
Moving on. First Amendment does not apply to YouTube. Judges reject PragerU lawsuit where they were throttling and restricting PragerU's like educational videos and stuff. But essentially, the judges ruled that Hey, YouTube's a private company, and freedom of speech, the First Amendment, that's between you and the government, not you and other individuals.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, especially in the firearms community, because nobody wants to hear this. But yeah, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google are privately owned companies that generate revenue and business. You can't just go into Banana Republic and start making anti-gay jokes. You can't do that.
That was the one you thought of?
It's the most left-leaning I could think of at the time. But I mean, that's what it boils down to. They can do what they want. It's their business. First Amendment doesn't apply. Stop falling back on that argument and make better content that's a little bit more witty and gets around the loopholes in the algorithm.
Well, and you were right. You were right in the first thing that you said about privately owned. I mean, who pays the bills? Who do you advertise with? Like, eventually you're like, oh gosh, I love being rich more than I love the Constitution. And that's the direction you go. And so privately owned business, privately owned industry, it just is what it is. Like, yeah, you're putting the brakes on freedom speech, but I mean,
I think what chaps everyone's asked the most, and that includes me, is that they have not just YouTube, but all social media right now really has a stranglehold on information coming from Johnny Everyman to the rest of the world. And what ends up happening is that if they're going to throttle it, it went from being a say anything, do anything to now there's roughly, I think, 15 accounts per person in America or in the world. That's how many accounts are actually existing in social media right now. And you can't keep track of it all. So it's a combination of them still wanting to appease the people, but they're going for the majority. And as much as we want to sit here and believe that the 2A community is like this big beast, it's not. I mean, monster trucks have a bigger following on social media than gun stuff. So it's just like hunting, to make a segue into DeVito real quick. If we don't keep growing our numbers from not just within, but reaching out to those that are outside, it's going to slowly die. Like the whole gorilla and the banana and the fire hose. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that fictitious experiment that happened.
Can you show me how to eat the banana?
how do you give me the dang banana? Show you how
this from us. Oh,
that's teamwork, you guys. I like that. Woo! Oh, we killed Jake again.
No, but I mean, Whitey's 100% spot on. It's like I see it, especially with a lot of the hunting accounts I follow. Somebody posts a picture of, an animal they just successfully took. Instagram and Facebook put a sensor on it, and then the next thing you know, like their reach just gets throttled. And I mean, Whitey would probably know more than anybody here as far as the algorithms and all the other stuff goes, how that all works. But it's like you're trying to send a good message. You're trying to, get people involved and stuff like that. And then because it's something that they don't agree with, you lose your freedom of speech. And then your account basically gets, it's the new term, shadow banned, it sucks. It's BS. I almost swore.
How would you, like from an Italian's point of view, handle a shadow just from knowing you and spending a lot of time with you, how would you say that the best tactic is? I
mean, normally you find out who started the ban, and you go all the way down through the lineage. And you can start with gunpowder and the light bulbs.
That's not what I meant anyway.
Oh, that's not what you meant. Oh,
no.
Oh.
It's good though.
Start with the gunpowder and the light bulbs. So China, and Thomas Edison.
Wuhan.
All of it. The Kung Flu strikes again.
Makes sense. Oh.
All right, Uncle Joe's back. Uncle Joe Biden calls game developers little creeps who make titles that teach you how to kill. Nobody cares. So we're going to move on to The full auto news segment. Amazon contribute to the Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns by shopping our Amazon affiliate link by clicking the Amazon banners at firearmsradio.tv. Full auto news, stories the real media won't talk about, and other crazy stuff. Patriot Patch Company helps make this possible. Check out the winter clearance sale going on now at patriotpatch.co. Tons of patches on clearance. patriotpatch.co. All right, this is where each of the hosts picks a story to call their own. Abs, what do you got?
Well, there were a lot of Florida man options. I want to lead with that, and I didn't choose that only because the Colorado drone situation, the eastern Colorado, southwest Nebraska, like drone sightings at night, and I was completely unaware of the situation until didn't have a great fall hunting season. Went with a buddy over who had some contacts in southwest Nebraska. He was like, hey, we got some massive farms. Guys need does killed. So we went over, took the kids because we're a good American family and we want kids to see wild animals die because that's life and we are ultimate predators. And went over, whacked a few does. And on the way back, he said, hey, have you heard about this drone thing? And I was like, no, I don't know what that is. My buddy's name is Percy, super cool dude. Based on the name, you can understand he's an older gentleman. But he was like, yeah, it's all over the news. People are seeing drones at night. They're out chasing them. We stopped at a gas station in eastern Colorado. There's a guy raving about it. He's like, what are you guys doing tonight? We're like, well, we're taking some deer home to hang them up. He's like, we're going drone hunting. No joke. They're going out trying to spot these drones at night. And they're so large drones, 6 foot in diameter, supposedly, and nobody knows where they're coming from. Like nobody knows who's controlling them. Nobody knows who they're spotted by. And what's happening is apparently word is like getting out underneath the Freedom of Information Act, and emails have been shared in the Air Force. And like my conclusion is that somebody knows who's behind it. Obviously, there's some purpose to it, that or somebody's just trying to jack around. But in the article that's shared in the show notes, it's related specifically to internal emails inside of the Air Force that show confusion and concern over Colorado's mystery drones. It's a very long and very involved article. My favorite part is where folks that are spying on them have noted them dropping and or picking up items that look like potatoes. And there's talk about aliens throughout the article. And when I say it's long, it's longer than most people's attention span have the ability to look at for an internet article. But supposedly these potato-shaped items are used to gauge like depth or ruts in ground, and they're actually intended to map ground for irrigation pivots. And so they're not actually potatoes at all. And what I learned from this entire article is that there's nothing to learn from the article, and no one has definitive answers, nor does anyone from the Air Force look intelligent for not. So surveillance planes and radar monitoring planes have been sent out in order to try and identify them. But so the sightings have gone down in the last like 6 weeks or so. But they still have yet to identify what exactly they are. So this article on thedrive.com is extremely thorough, but it contains redacted emails, and it's super interesting. And it's just ends up being another like Area 51 lights in the sky type article or opinion on what's actually happening.
So they weren't potatoes or pod people.
No, they weren't actual potatoes. They just looked like potatoes. I like potatoes as much as the next guy. You can write that down.
Okay, Abs. I'm glad we have a man on the ground there in Colorado. Keep it close.
This whole thing isn't my fault. I just picked the article, and it was rough.
Matt, what do you got?
Let me scroll and not knock myself out of the chat again. Elaborate unconventional warfare exercises set for undisclosed sites in North Carolina, aka prepping for the big luau. So basically, Fort Bragg has put out a warning to the public that there may be suspicious looking military activity that could erupt on some private land across multiple North Carolina counties in the next month. They're saying they really can't say too much because it's cryptic special forces training. And that the soldiers will be depicting guerrilla freedom fighters. So they'll probably be dressed in their best luau garb, running around. There's going to be blank ammunition used. They may see flares, no real bombs. So not to worry, there's no real bombs. There's no drones with potatoes. But people may hear loud bangs that could replicate a bomb. People don't need to worry because there's controls that are set in place, and if they do have a concern, they can contact law enforcement, although it's not necessary. And supposedly this program goes back over 60 years. So people really shouldn't worry about it because you just trust everything the government tells you and you'll be fine. Like coronavirus is under control and you'll be fine. And that's it. And don't worry about the luau type activities, unless you bring a hula skirt, and you'll be good. So people in North Kakalaki, keep your ears to the ground. And I guess when the balloon goes up, we'll let you know. Don't trust the government to tell you. There'll be code words.
Nothing to see here. Move along.
Yep.
So for those of you that don't know,
yeah, right.
Free Pineland is actually a thing that happens, I think, either twice or once a year, and it happens all the time. This is part of Green Beret training. For those of you who don't know, to really summarize what a Green Beret's job is to infiltrate and basically convert the populace to fight your war for you, or alongside you, whatever the case may be. It's kind of like their primary thing. So this is a fictitious company. They have like real money that is spent within these borders that you can find like on Wikipedia. And it's training. Sometimes they actually go head to head against, new SEAL teams to see if like they can stack up. It's actually a really cool thing that you never really get to see. But aside from, This Week in Guns and all the newspapers articles, I'm sure there's still people that are gonna be like, oh my God, it's happening. It's Red Dawn. But I thought that was cool.
That's the hope though, right?
I think it's cool because dude, this country is so much bigger than people give it credit for because we're so encapsulated in our small little worlds that stuff like this happens all the time, all over the country, and people don't know about it. I find it to be really interesting that we have that much space, vacant space.
Well, and like you said, super good too. When you said the world as we know it is how big, it's this big.
Yeah, it's 8 inches from your face.
Right. That's how big everyone's world is. Until they actually take a deep breath and look around and realize it's ginormous.
And they've been doing this for decades, and it's like people are just finding out about it, which I think is scary because it's like you should know, especially if you live in North Kakalaki.
Well, they had a sheriff's deputy, 15 years ago, shoot a soldier because he thought.
Did he really?
Yeah, he shot at one of the actors, thinking something nefarious was going down.
It's like, dude, they're briefed.
Jake, did you look up nefarious before the show and try to figure out a place to insert it?
I've got the thesaurus right here in front.
Vacant Space Force. Somebody put in the comments. That's hilarious.
It's a thesaurus.
A thesaurus. That's right next to Pete Buttcork.
Dude, no one said that one, and that was the best one. Did you just whip that out?
I couldn't remember the name that he said. So Buttercork.
Incredible. Butter keg was my favorite, but
buttered stuff
now the best.
Buttered popcorn.
Oh, I feel bad for everyone watching.
Okay, White. What do you got?
I got inmate says in letter that he killed 2 molesters in prison. I'm not going to read this whole article. Just know that keep doing the good job in prison. And 2, does he get a better bed? Does he get like a steak dinner for every confirmed kill?
Here's a guy who's doing the Lord's work.
Yeah. Forget Manson, like with the cross on his head. Like, this guy should have a crown. Oof. And when a new molester comes in, and be like, "You're staying with the king tonight." Like, they should literally
fresh fish.
Like, I'm not saying commute his sentence because he doesn't need to be doing this outside, but maybe just a little reward system is in order.
Yeah, like some Call of Duty badges or
all
something.
you're doing is saying what everyone else
like Pornhub.
Oh.
8 years running.
Looking for that 9-year badge.
Everyone on YouTube, remember to breathe.
There's no way that's how you spell that. Look up Nerfarious. No, it's not how you spell that. Nerfarious.
Transphibian, I don't know if you have a YouTube channel, but I'm going to look you up and follow you because you've been following along and giving us great comments all night.
Oh, I got to go to YouTube first. I told you, Jake, this bourbon, it's going to get spicy.
So we had a lot of great full auto stories, kind of hard to pick from them. We had 4 Florida man stories. One I forgot to put in the show. And
4
Florida.
That's got to be a record, man.
So we had Florida man arrested for cow manure battery. The actual title. He dumped a bucket of cow manure over someone's head.
So used it as a weapon.
Right, he weaponized cow manure.
Oh, battery like assault. I thought he made a battery out of cow manure. That's what I thought. It's Florida.
Elon Musk needs to look out.
Yeah, it's
this guy's on to something.
We need to know this.
For everyone.
And then another Florida headline, Florida hospital gives woman a Band-Aid and sends her home with a bullet stuck in her head from a drive-by shooting.
As they should.
Yeah, I mean, just walk it off.
Hey, Band-Aids are all healing.
Speaking of Florida man, has everyone taken the Florida man challenge?
Yeah. Oh, the Google challenge?
Those of you at home, Google Florida man and then
your birthday.
And if you really want to, do it on like hard mode, just leave the number out of the year, and you're blessed with so many wonderful stories on.
All right,
Florida
stand
man.
by. Florida man.
My favorite is goes on beer run with Gator.
Don't tell your birthday to everyone, DeVito, or they'll find your gun room.
Oh yeah, good call. Florida man. I just do my birthday or the year or what?
Just like month and day. Just search Florida man, 2 words.
Day.
And then month and day.
Florida man was caught dancing on top of police car.
Tight.
Florida man with no arms. Florida man with no arms charged with stabbing man with scissors.
You
can't need to read that.
Can't run from that one.
You can't.
No, oh my god! I think this is the thing that happened on Barstool.
Jake's not in charge anymore.
Florida,
tuck your arms into your sleeves and just start running around like this.
Florida man dressed as Fred Flintstone pulled over for driving a footmobile. Florida man accused of threatening local Magic the Gathering players. Alex, if you're watching this, the Florida man's coming for you.
Florida is the Australia of America.
Thong wearing Florida man arrested while building shed with garbage on stranger's property. I'm going to stop there.
Florida man arrested after botching in-home castration surgery, deputies say.
Can I just give a shout? YouTube. So we get to see YouTube comments and Facebook comments in the chat here. Transphibian, we mentioned him earlier. Him or her, no offense whatsoever. Been listening to us since meaning I just like backtracked 3 years in things that matter to been listening to y'all, I assume This Week in Guns since 2015.
Yeah.
Big thanks, Transphibian.
Right.
Look him up on YouTube. It might be a terrible channel, but thanks for the comments and the follow. Pretty cool.
So back to my Florida man headlines. Florida herpes riddled monkeys rampage as humans infected by out of control. Yeah, can't say
For
that.
Harambe.
Jake, what is? I don't know if I'm familiar with herpes.
Florida man attempts to rob dog walker, steals dog after shooting man in leg. So yeah, we had a lot of great Florida
What's herpes?
this week alone.
Can you get that from butt kegs?
I can't believe no one took the story. A woman took 550 times the usual dose of LSD and surprisingly positive consequences. And like I thought this was a fake news site, and I click into it and it's CNN Health, which I mean it could be argued it's fake news, but
Well, foul tip.
it's CNN Health. But so this woman took 550 times the normal recreational dose of LSD, which I don't know what the normal recreational dose of LSD
The
would
FDA
be.
regulate that?
But and she not only survived, but found that her foot pain that she suffered from for over 20 years was dramatically reduced.
So I saw that article. I read through half of it, and I didn't see any gun stuff. That's why I was like, all right, I don't think this is like relatable. But if you're bored on Amazon and or Netflix, look up Third Eye Spies and Men Who Stare at Goats.
Gross.
Nope. Awesome, actual based on true facts. Third Eye Spies is more documentary. But no, the government's done like extensive testing on LSD and the human condition. And this you want to get weird? Ebbs, you want to get weird?
I always want to get weird.
So this is how I view like Wiccan, right? People who believe in witches and warlocks and stuff like that, and people who do massive, incredible amounts of LSD and hallucinogens. He always says, we use 10% of our brain, yada yada. Certain chemicals, compounds, mixtures make us do, and activate certain things. So who knows? Maybe we can see into the future and telepath and all that fun stuff. We just don't know how to access it, and maybe these chemicals do. I'm not going to find out, but I'm down to watch anybody who wants to.
Yeah, watching is the key word.
Yes.
I'll do a lot of things for entertainment. And I've said in public forums, I'll try anything once.
Mushrooms are weird.
I have a pretty good track record of that, backing it up, actually. Anyway, Jake, you have a segue. We're ready. Ready.
I'm still waiting to understand what herpes is.
He hasn't given us a clear definition, and I'm still waiting.
Well, that about wraps us up. You can leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of this YouTube video or the bottom of the show notes. Leave us a review on iTunes.
Boof that acid, bro.
What?
Transphibian is just dropping brown-eyed spies. That was another one.
Brown-eyed
spurs to yourself.
Oof.
All right, Matt, where can people find you online, connect with you if you want that?
blackdirtdiaries.com is the blog. Black Dirt Diaries on Instagram and Facebook. That's about it.
Whitey, where can people find you online, connect?
We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, although I barely ever pay attention to that, and ladies, Captain Whitey on Snapchat.
Gross.
Abs, where can people connect with you online?
We are houseofarms.com is our retail site. We sell very boring yet creative single shot platforms, rifles, pistols, historic style, contender style, encore style, Thompson Center flavor, hunting platforms. If you're interested in that sort of things, we kind of specialize in the impossible. If single shot firearms are impossible, probably not, but pretty cool. And have an Instagram, House of Arms, and I updated occasionally, but getting ready to head to South Africa for a little bit of a hunting excursion with the crew over there. So Commander-in-Chief Marty is over there now. He just started texting me. Actually,
Oh, they're already there?
Yeah, they're there. So we got there during the show. They're in Joburg, headed to Port Elizabeth, Eastern Cape. Going to be hunting plains game over there. Pretty excited about that opportunity to be able to go and hop on with Copper Moon Safaris. First time ever in Africa at all, let alone South Africa, and hunting there. So hope to kill some beautiful stuff, some ugly stuff, and we'll be definitely sharing that on the gram. And we have a pretty good Facebook page actually too. That's where the most of our engagement is on. So facebook.com/House of Arms. That's HAUS of Arms. And we have a good time, and we care about firearms, and we care about the Second Amendment, and those are the guns we sell, but we shoot all kinds. Just about as colorful as they get.
Very cool. Help the show by shopping the Amazon affiliate link. Check out Patriot Patch Company. And This Week in Guns is produced by Kenny Ortega and Ben Allred, and this is a production of the Firearms Radio Network. Thank you, Whitey.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate it, as always.
Thank you, Ebbs.
Thanks, buddy. Had a great time with you three homies and the ridiculousness that is firearms news.
That's
we had no timestamps.
You're right.
Well,
We
We
did
would
it.
have lost that bet.
There was an over-under, and we
yeah,
had
we
none.
came way under and gave a chance to show our professionalism. Really,
That's
more,
right.
more than anything.
Cheers to you.